please continue eating should you not have finished. There will be dessert at some point, but we will have to wait until after service with that. My name is Leon Heilmann. I'm a sophomore from Datteln in Germany. I'm studying computer science and mathematics, and many people might be wondering what I'm doing here. I'm not a religion major or anything like that. However, I'm joining Dr. Clapp and a group of other students for the lunch bunch on Sundays. With that, we go to First United Church of Christ here in Salisbury and worship. Usually every Sunday, sometimes we fall off a little, but no, afterwards we usually have lunch together and talk about how the service was and how this can be integrated into our lives and how to form our characters with that. I also have benefited from the Lilly Center due to several retreats and mini-retreats. Notably, one of the retreats we had with the swim team. I'm part of the swim team, I should mention at this point. Also, the swim team is having a great season, which is kind of beside the point, but I was wanting to let you know. So that retreat was sponsored by the Lilly Center and was made possible due to a grant called the Catawba it's in my notes. I'm so sorry. Creating Catawba Community Grant. There have also been multiple mini-retreats that I've been part of, where we usually get a nice dinner. And after that, Dr. Clapp, sitting in the back over there, if anyone hasn't noticed him, will speak a little bit about how to create character, what important values for our lives are, how to choose a vocation. And all of these retreats together have formed me a lot as a student and also as a person. And I'm very grateful to the Lilly Center and by extension to all of you who have given for the grant. I'm so sorry. Who have contributed money and time to the Catawba College Lilly Center and ministries. Tonight, we want to thank you for helping making these programs possible and share some updates on newer ones. The first person to share will be Mr. Jonathan Bolts. Mr. Bolts is the Associate Director of the Lilly Center and Director of Volunteer Catawba.
Thank you. I appreciate that introduction. But what Leon said is so true. And I think it's something that makes Catawba really unique and really cool is our offerings of retreats and the way that we do retreats and our emphasis on vocation and values. And through the generosity of individuals like yourself and your support, it makes that kind of good work possible. And so one of the things that we do is freshman retreats. It's one of the programs that I direct. And it's a really cool opportunity for student leaders, for faculty and staff also to get engaged and to welcome freshmen on the scene. And we go to Black Lake Retreat Center, which is about an hour away from here, and we have a good time. We talk about vocation and values, what it means to have a calling, what our certain values that we hold dear, and so it's a neat sharing with one another. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to share a video, just a very quick video, and then I'll share a little bit about another program I direct called Volunteer Catawba. Bear with me, I thought I had it pulled up. The audio may not work, but excuse. Look at my tech skills, y'all. All right, let's see what happens. All right, let's try it again. Rewind. All right.
Be open and ask yourself, reflect, and think about what is this thing that is happening or has happened to me? What is it suggesting possibly in terms of my vocational direction and how I need to be faithful to that?
So at the very end of that, you heard everybody say, I am making a difference. And that's one of the things we talk a lot about too, and through our programs and the various Lilly Center programs, but is Volunteer Catawba, and that's service, making a difference in our community. You can see there's several different projects that we are involved in. We've actually got our second Habitat House that we're involved in, which is going to close probably mid-January. Lots of engagement there. It's been really neat. Let's see. We've got the Memorial Park that we've done a lot of environmental work with. And then we've got Food for Thought, which is food insecurity work. But I'm actually going to introduce Maddie here, who you heard from earlier, who's a junior here and does a lot with Operation Christmas Child. And just quick note, I'd like to turn your attention to this table over here. There is a gift for you guys. It's an ornament of the chapel. And so if you would, we would invite you to come pick one up, one per family if you would. And those actually were purchased, and the proceeds of those were gone to OCC. So a really neat service opportunity. So I'm going to turn it over to Maddie and let her tell you a little bit about OCC.
So as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Maddie Bumgarner, and I'm a junior here at Catawba from Lexington, North Carolina. I'm majoring in economics and finance with a minor in business administration, which kind of plays into the finance side of making a service event happen that I'm going to talk about very, very briefly. So first, for those of you that don't know, Operation Christmas Child is a service event put on by Samaritan's Purse every year around the holiday season. They send gifts to children around the world at this time of the year. We send a variety of toys and school supplies, office supplies, that type of thing in each box. This year we received donations from over 10 places, both personal and business. This is the first year that Jonathan and I were able to work together on the project. We had both monetary and physical donations given, which helped purchase all of the supplies. So the packing parties this year were set up a little bit differently than they have in the past. We used to have one grand packing party. It was absolutely phenomenal to be able to experience. I was not in charge of it then, but my freshman year we were able to have one. Then COVID hit last last year, and it kind of threw everything for a loop. I feel like we can't have a conversation without it coming up these days, but last year we had lots of mini packing parties, and those were very successful. We packed 832 boxes, and our goal was, I believe, 600 last year, so we overshot that by a lot. This year, with it being the first year that we were in charge, we weren't exactly sure what all it entailed, so we decided to set our goal for 400, and that's what we budgeted for. So I was in charge of the budgeting and making sure that we had enough money to buy all the supplies, that each kid got a really, really enticing box for them to open during this holiday season. We met our goal of 400 boxes. We packed 402. Just a little bit over the goal, but we met the goal, and for it to be the first year that I was the student lead and had Jonathan as my cohort, it was very exciting to be able to meet that goal. We divided up by age groups and had a huge turnout by the student body. The area coordinator for Samaritan's Purse in Salisbury actually came to one of our parties, and I got to meet her, and it was really, really welcoming and just heartwarming that I was able to experience this. For the future, for next year, to sum everything up, we plan on making our goal a little bit larger. I will be graduating next December, so it'll be my last year to be able to be the student lead, and I'm very upset about that, but I also look forward to seeing what OCC has in store at Catawba once I leave. I thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of Operation Christmas Child, and I hope you enjoy your ornaments, and if you would like them personalized, we also do have those for the proceeds to go to Operation Christmas Child, so thank you.
Hello everyone. We are so glad that you are here. My name is Hannah Hutchins McNeely, and I'm on staff with the Lilly Center and campus ministry, and I am honored to be able to share with you tonight about a few of our programs. I want to start with our Catawba Clergy Network. This is a resource center for UCC clergy, Catawba College alumni, and other clergy who want to thrive in their ministries. Catawba Clergy Network is a hub for communication cohorts and other gathering opportunities so that ministers can rest, reflect, and meaningfully connect with other clergy. Our Catawba Clergy Network cohorts are known as communities of practices, also known as COPs. They offer a space for clergy to connect in a safe space with one another. This year, we have had 18 communities of practice meeting monthly, again, just to connect and reflect and have that meaningful connection. And this picture that we have on the screen is from one of our gathering days, our third annual Catawba Clergy Days in conjunction with Catawba Homecoming. And we had 31 people in person be able to attend this event. Last year we had to do it virtually, so we're really glad to be able to have it in person this year. And we did also offer a virtual session, so we had several people attend that way as well. So this is, again, a picture from our Catawba Clergy Days. It was very good to see people after 2 years of not being able to. Catawba Clergy Network also offers clergy needed financial support to help with their ministries through grant applications and opportunities. This year, our clergy have been supported through grants to help them thrive through different opportunities such as retreats, continuing education programs, restorative practices, and other opportunities. So, as mentioned, our clergy network has communities of practices, and those are safe spaces for them to gather and talk and reflect. And we saw how great that was for our clergy, and we wanted to make that an opportunity for our Catawba campus community as well. So with that, we have created our campus ministry small groups. We believe that we weren't created to do life alone, and through this pandemic, we've really seen that isolation and the effects of isolation are real, and this was true for our campus community as well. So campus ministry small groups allow for members of our community to again gather in a safe environment to discuss particular topics or books, scripture passages, whatever they choose. And this year we've had several student-led small groups, so that gives our students another way to fill out their leadership roles and lead their peers. This year, we've also started a faculty and staff small group, allowing our faculty and staff to have a space to come weekly to honestly just decompress during such a busy semester, and we talk about different topics that we're dealing with and different questions that we might have. So that's a little bit about our Catawba Clergy Network and campus ministry small groups. I'm grateful and honored to have the opportunity to be able to serve in these capacities with such wonderful people, one of which I would like to invite up now. Shannon Axtell Martin will be sharing about our Youth Theology Institute Discover and campus worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Hello, I'm Shannon. I'm so excited to share with you about Discover, our Youth Theology Institute. We had some exciting updates. So after a year of being virtual, this past year we hosted Discover on Catawba's campus for the first time. And that was initially a COVID protocol. It was a way for us to offer the program with single occupancy rooms. And it also ended up being a great opportunity to involve more of our faculty and staff from various departments in the leadership of that program. So because we were on campus, we were able to do a worship music track, a sport management track, and a service and ministry leadership track. So the students divided out in the afternoons and got to go in depth with our faculty and staff on these various topics. And it was so wonderful. So during the final worship service that we had the last morning, we invited parents and mentors and church leaders to come to that last service. And the students and faculty shared about their experiences for the week and how serving others has strengthened their faith, how they didn't know that their faith had anything to do with sports or could, and they were so excited about that. And then the high school week, the music track ended up making their own arrangement of Great Is Thy Faithfulness and playing it in the service, and it was so beautiful. And then in our middle school week, some of the students that, just kind of had that hard shell around their heart at the beginning of the week ended up standing up in front of everyone leading worship. And it was so beautiful to see the transformation that can happen in a student in just a couple of days. It was so beautiful and powerful. Some of these students were leading music and had never picked up an instrument before and played the guitar in front of all of their peers. It was so wonderful. So all of this, the tracks and all of Discover, is around the purpose of helping youth reflect on their faith, discern their calling, and explore what it means to live a faithful life, both in ordinary and extraordinary ways. So I hope you'll keep an eye out for our official Save the Date, which will be coming soon, but spoiler alert, just reserve the second and third week of July if you want to join us. So my other task is to share with you about our campus worship services. So over the past semester, we explored the parables and we explored call stories. And call stories was such a great opportunity to hear from various members of our campus community about their sense of calling. And so we got to hear lots of perspectives and stories, and it was really wonderful. We have a great team of staff and students who plan and facilitate these services. So shout out to Kat is in here. There she is in the back. So she does a lot with our Chapel Scholars group, which is the student group pictured up here. And as a lot of you know, when you work with students in ministry, there's a lot of turnover because, like it or not, a big chunk of them graduate every single year. We can't stop them. And so last year, we were a little bit concerned because our Chapel Scholars group last year was a group of 12, and 8 of them were graduating. And the 4 that remained were wonderful, but we were a little bit concerned. So I'm really excited to tell you that this year we had 9 new members join that group. So this picture is some of our new members. And they have done a fantastic job leading the liturgy, the prayers, and the music on our weekly chapel services. So with Kat leading them as a part of her internship, so she's done a really great job. And we have 3 more who've said they want to join next semester. So it's so beautiful to see these students continue to step up and to continue to lead, to grow in their skills, and to lead others in worship. It's really wonderful. So that's all I have time for, but if you want to talk more about Discover, about campus worship, about our programs for clergy, please find me, and I would love to share so much more with you. Thank you.
asked to help with tonight's program, I asked Dr. Clapp if this year's program would be any different from previous years, and his response was, yes, it would be. He would not be asking the people present here tonight for any money during this event. Following that, I asked if this was due to the gift that I'm sure everyone knows about. And he replied, no, it is not because of that. It is because over the last 20 years, the people that are present here and others that could not make it tonight have contributed so much money to the cause that the goal for the soul campaign of the part of mind, body and soul has been met. And even though I'm sure donations are still appreciated, we will not be asking for any money tonight. On behalf of former students who benefited from your gifts, and especially on behalf of current students whose lives are still made richer because of these gifts, and on behalf of all the Catawba community and extended community, I say thank you. Let me say that again. Thank you. Making a difference has been for a long time the motto of Lilly Center, and your gifts are truly enabling that difference to be made. You have been, and you are making this difference. There's more good news. You and others continue to give to new and vital programs, and it is my pleasure to be able to announce those projects. Due to COVID, the class of 24, my class, did not have the opportunity to experience a freshman retreat. As we've heard from Mr. Bowles, those freshman retreats are amazing enrichments for everyone's college experience. And they play a huge role in the following lives and the role of faith in a good life. Thanks to a gift from Catawba trustee Gwyn Barr, this spring there will be a sophomore retreat. It will embrace some of these same components, but taking into consideration what we already have experienced during the first 3 semesters of our college career. Also, the members of class of 70 have chosen to make their 50th reunion class gifts funds to be used for the development of a meditation, remembrance, and gathering space that will be located between the Omweg Dearborn Chapel and the Coriolan Black Library. This space will consist of a columbarium, a small theater, amphitheater, overlooking the Stanbeck Nature Preserve, and a labyrinth. We are happy to have the architect for this project with us tonight. Michael Clapp, please stand so people can recognize you, and if they have questions about the project, can catch you over dessert. By the way, there still are opportunities for people to contribute to this project. A third is small by comparison to the amount of money involved, but could be huge in terms of impact. It also represents the commitment to the church-college relationship we celebrate tonight. A grant from the First United Church of Christ Salisbury Foundation will be used for the development of a retreat design which can be used by local congregations to think creatively and be given help in addressing ways congregations can adapt to changes resulting from COVID. Exciting developments are on the horizon. You have been and continue to be key to making these things happen. So again, I express our most sincere gratitude for all of you. And now I introduce Kat Parker, a senior religion major who will recognize previous Church College Award recipients.
I gotta bend this back down a little bit, I'm not quite as tall. So, we now come to the highlight of tonight's program, which is the announcement of the Church College Award recipient for 2021. But first, I'd like you to allow me to recall the recipients of this award since its inception. When you enter the Onwake Dearborn Chapel for tonight's service of Lessons and Carols, you will see on the wall on the left side plaques honoring each of these previous recipients. This will provide a permanent record of the recipients of this honor. As I name the previous recipients, I will ask that they or family members who may be present please stand. We will hold applause until the end when all can be recognized. So the inaugural recipients of the Church College Award were Mr. Claude Abernathy Jr. and Mr. Wade Hampton Shuford Jr. Mr. Shuford's son, Hamp Shuford III, and his wife, Kathleen, are with us this evening. The 2009 recipient was the Reverend Dr. Richard Cheek, and the following year, the Reverend Dr. Thomas Hamilton, who is with us tonight, along with his wife, Jane, received the honor. He was followed in 2011 by the Reverend Kristen Gerner Vaughn, who along with her husband Mike and two of her children are with us tonight. In 2012, the Reverend Dr. Barbara Kirshner Daniel received the award. And the Reverend June Grubb was honored in 2013, and she is with us this evening. The 2014 recipient was Mr. Greg Alcorn, and he and his wife Missy are here this evening. The Reverend Harold Holste was a recipient in 2015, and his wife Eugenia and their daughter Alana are present. There followed a period after that when the college went to having recognition events on the alternate year basis. So in 2017, recognition was extended to the Reverend Dr. Donald Flick and Mrs. Joanne Flick. We are very grateful that Joanne is here with us this evening. Also recognized that year was Mr. Barry Leonard, who is here with his wife Clara. Completing the honors for 2017 was a presentation to the Reverend Dr. Larry Bolick, who is also with us this evening.
My wife is Dr. Bolick, I'm Reverend Bolick.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
There are a lot of Reverend doctors in here, so it just kind of flows off the tongue. And the Reverend Bobby Ray Bonds received the honor in 2018, and he and his wife Elsie are present. 2019 saw two couples honored, Mr. Richard and Miss Linda Sywell, and Mr. Jim and Mrs. Martha Daybalt were the recipients. Although we were limited to a very small gathering last year in 2020, the Reverend Banks and Mrs. Euleen Shepard were honored with the award. Euleen is with us this evening. Now, I invite you to join me in giving a round of applause to all the previous recipients. And at this time, I'm going to ask President Nelson to come forward to present the Church College Award for 2021 to this year's recipient.
Thank you, Kat, and along with all the chorus of others, let me say welcome to you. We're glad that you could be with us tonight for this special occasion. And Leon, thank you for hosting and for your comments, and go Catawba swimming. We're proud of you. So it's my joy to announce the recipient of this year's Church College Award. And I think it's just notable that we have a Church College Award. Not every college or university has that. In fact, I guess most don't have that. But but it is a reminder of the heritage of this institution. The legacy of those German Reformed Christians many years ago, decades ago, 170 plus years ago, who decided they wanted a college for their children in the state of North Carolina. And that legacy has been lived out and continues to be lived out to this day in many ways, as you have seen. And our thanks to the staff, to Dr. Clapp and all the staff and students who make all those things happen year in and year out. And let me echo again how grateful we are to your generosity to help us to carry on this kind of work on our campus. I think it's notable, and it's something Kimberly and I noticed when we looked at the prospectus for the next president, the 24th president of Catawba College, that there was this thing, the Lilly Center for Vocation and Values, that there's a chaplain who's a member of the executive cabinet, that there is campus ministry, that there's a beautiful chapel that really is a centerpiece of campus life. That's part of this legacy, not just that a quality education is being offered, but that students have the opportunity for personal formation and the exploration of vocation. This, and that this happens in the way that it does at Catawba, that it is such a legacy at Catawba, is truly distinctive in American higher education, and it will remain so. So when we say Church College Award, there's a lot behind that. We are recognizing that legacy, and we are remembering this long line of people, many of you who are in the room tonight, who have an association with Catawba College, but who have also had such an impact on the life of the church, who participate in ministry, and who help to make the world more like the place we all want to live. So, to the award for this evening. Our recipient's involvement with United Church of Christ and its predecessor denomination began at his birth, and his connection to Catawba College spans nearly 6 decades. Coming from his native Pennsylvania to Catawba, he was involved with the Student Christian Organization, was involved in other student activities, and I love this, spent time during his evenings during the winter months stoking the boilers that kept the campus warm. So you current students, just note that. He married Margaret Snyder, class 71, in Amwake Dearborn Chapel, served St. Matthew's UCC, a mission church in Charlotte, before moving to a position at First UCC Burlington, North Carolina. And for 40 years, he worked with youth with an emphasis on outdoor ministry. Leading youth delegations to 3 general synods of the UCC, our recipient took a group to the first national youth event of the UCC and was on a planning committee for one of those events. Now, we'll note a number of other accomplishments and instances of service in the citation that we'll soon read. So I now want to invite our recipient, the Reverend Mr. Clarence Curley Stum, to join me so we can present him with the 2021 Catawba College Church College Award. So I'm now going to read the citation so you can hear more about yourself. And I love, Charlie, that you're here representing all the cousins. I think it's 6. I think that's tremendous that your family is here. And what a legacy that you're witnessing tonight. So the Catawba College 2021 Church College Award. Heeding a call to ministry, you chose to be educated at a college related to the denomination of which you have been a lifelong member and headed south from Pennsylvania to study at Catawba College. Although you would return to your native state and enroll in another United Church of Christ institution, Lancaster Theological Seminary, for your seminary degree, you would return to your wife's native state to serve congregations in Charlotte and Burlington. It was Christian education and working with youth that claimed your heart, and being an adventurer and outdoorsman, you would devote yourself to helping people come to know God through expressions in the outdoors. This would lead you to over 30 years of service at Johns River Valley Camp. During that time, you would contribute to other institutions of the Southern Conference, including your alma mater in a variety of ways. One of the greatest of these has been your partnership with the college in providing facilities and staff training for the Catawba Freshman Retreat program. In your role as editor of the Southern Conference News, you've promoted programs offered by the campus ministry program of Catawba, as well as promoting the college as a destination for college education for youth and the conference and beyond. For your many roles in enabling ministry among the youth of the Southern Conference and the national setting of the United Church of Christ, in supporting Catawba College in a variety of ways, and working to make known the love of Christ, the campus ministry program of Catawba College takes joy in honoring the Reverend Clarence L. Curley Stum with his Church College Award on this 30th day of November in the year of our Lord, 2021. Congratulations. All right.
My mask says life is good. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Thank you, Ken Clapp. Ken and I were students together on campus here. Catawba offered a path for the road I have traveled since the day I walked across the stage over in Keppel Auditorium. The college, as I reflected, sort of created a Damascus Road experience for me, but without the blinding light, rather with an opening of light and awareness. I grew up in the church, as has been shared, have a string of actually Sunday school pins to claim that. Some of you know that tradition. For me, my eyes were open to new light, but unlike Paul, without a rejection of my past. Like Paul, however, I got a new name on my first day amidst students that the college lodged me with. They thought I needed that new identity, and they said, "We'll call you Curly." And the rest is history, because that's still my identity. My wife Margaret's been referred. Yes, we're going to walk the boys over. They've never seen the chapel, and only pictures, so they're going to get a brief experience of that magic place. My mission zeal, following the Paul thing, was youth, and for those many years at Johns River, I worked at forming intentional communities in outdoor spaces for young people and offering serendipitous moments to campers to discover the miraculous works of creation and to discover themselves. So I, to this day, remain in my retired ministry active because I care about this fragile planet on which we live, because I want to be a good steward, and because I want to pass the baton of life to my family, some of which are seated here in front of me. Like some of the prophets, Margaret and I gave our children's names. We named them in the hope of a future life. Aaron, the voice of Moses, is now teaching culinary arts at Wake. Eric survived the syndrome of being the middle child. Although his name means forever or eternal ruler, he works with Merck Pharmaceutical as a chemical engineer and teaming with design teams to better all our health wellness, and the possibility for longevity of life. Adam, the last child in the paradox of the Gospels, the last shall be first. Works as county manager in Ashe County, and recently sent from his county a Christmas tree to be in the White House. And yes, Charlie, thank you for representing the 6 cousins. Charlie is a special name too. Charles Truman Stump. And to that level of a name, Charlie presently is serving as president of his student council in his middle school. So imagine the world without people like our 3 sons, their wives, our grandchildren. I'd like to think that Catawba, by bringing me onto this campus as a student, has been, remains, and can be hopeful of making a difference, changing lives, and perhaps even changing the course of history with that ripple effect that I've tried to describe with me and my family, and I know the same is the case with many of you and your families. In a world that is crying out for signs of hope, I think Catawba and all of us are symbols and persons energized to make that hope possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now, before we adjourn to worship with the service, I can't speak anymore. With the service of lessons and carols, I wish to recognize a number of members of the Catawba administration. First, President David Nelson and his wife Kimberly. A partner in tonight's event is Meg Dees, Vice President for Development, and her husband, Jay. Drew Davis, Vice President for Human Resources and College Counseling, and his wife, Laura. And recent additions are Lauren Cox, Vice President for Finance and Chief Information Officer, Jodie Bailey and her husband, Tim, the Reverend Dr. Clapp, Chaplain and Senior Vice President. Also, a special word of thanks is extended to Ms. Penny Rice, Executive Assistant to the Chaplain and the Lilly Center, and to the staff of Chartwell's Dining Service, Ms. Jan, Faith, and for tonight's meal, and Jerissa Clifton from Conferences.